A trope is any rhetorical device that consists of words other than their literal sense. Our first example is an isocolon, which SOI rhetorici defines as a series of similarly structured elements having the same thing, basically a kind of parallelism. A famous example of an isocolon is quoted by Julius Caesar in 47 BC, when he said, "Veni, vidi, vici," or "I came, I saw, I conquered." Another famous example is quoted by Abraham Lincoln when he described America as a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Our next trope is an antithesis, which SOI rhetorici defines the juxtaposition of contrasting words or ideas. Henry David Thoreau, a famous transcendentalist who was strongly influenced by Emerson, states a famous antithesis in his second chapter of Walden, one of his best-known works. He states the contrasting idea of him coming to die and discovering that he had not lived. In another famous quote by President Lincoln, an antithesis is also presented when he states that those who have no vices have very few virtues. Dictionary.com defines a vice as an immoral or evil practice. Many would think that someone with no vices would be very virtuous, but Lincoln presents a contrasting view.
Logical fallacy sounds rather similar to what its name implies. As Dictionary.com defines, a logical fallacy is usually an improper argument in reasoning resulting in a misconception or presumption. The famous ancient philosopher Aristotle can easily be considered the founder and father of logical fallacy. He was the first person to create what was the original guidelines of logical arguments. As a result of these guidelines Aristotle founded, he wrote the book on sophistical refutation, which included many of these guidelines. Logical fallacy is a generally broad topic and contains various examples such as the red herring and fallacy of Antithesis. However, this is a prime example of fallacy of ignorance as presented in Heinrich's book. Fallacy of ignorance can be described as assuming nothing is wrong because it can't be proved wrong. In this particular example, the doctor claims that nothing is wrong with the patient simply because none of the tests came back positive. On the contrary, the patient really could have had something wrong not tested by the doctor. Please take a look at our next example of logical fallacy. Circular reasoning, also known as begging the question, is defined by Heinrich as asserting a conclusion without stating the premise. In other words, it's an argument that jumps to the conclusion without substantial evidence. This picture, taken from Google Images, presents an ideal example of circular reasoning. The argument lacks evidence to support the conclusion of the Bible's infallibility. It ultimately jumps to conclusions without any supporting premises, creating a circular argument.
Now here's a skit on circular reasoning.
Good evening, ladies and gents. You're watching Just the Facts. I'm Scott Stegman here with world-renowned sports analyzer Magnus Nowinson. Now Magnus, just as your name implies, you seem to be quite knowledgeable in all aspects of sports. What are your thoughts on this upcoming Super Bowl showdown between the Pats and the Giants?
Yes, brilliant introduction, as I'm quite intelligent in all aspects of life and sports. Now I'm going to warn our spectators the knowledge I'm about to unveil upon you is rather earth-shattering and suggests everyone brace themselves. In all my meticulous research, I've derived quite an insightful conclusion. The Giants are going to win because they are the better team.
Now Magnus, I know you are quite intelligent, but what you just demonstrated right now was circular reasoning. Your conclusion that the Giants are going to win is the exact same thing as your supporting premise. If one team's better than the other, of course they're going to win.
You dare challenge my intellect, Mr. Stegman? My sources tell me your organization level in your AP language class was comparable to a kindergartner in 11th grade. No pencils, really? And whatever happened to your sticky notes?
Magnus, those days are far behind me, and what you just pulled was another logical fallacy, a red herring, where you switch issues mid-argument to throw the audience off your scent.
You know what? I don't want to have to reduce myself down to your inferior level. I'm out of here.
As Dictionary.com defines, a syllogism is a type of deductive reasoning going from a general topic to a more specific conclusion, usually consisting of major and minor premises along with a conclusion. Descartes, the person shown in the picture, is considered the father of deductive reasoning. Because a syllogism is a type of deductive reasoning, he can also be credited towards the founding of syllogisms. In this example from About.com, the speaker goes from the overarching topic of all mammals being warm-blooded to the more specific claim of all black dogs being warm-blooded. He uses the minor premise all dogs are mammals to connect the two ideas.
Here's a skit on a syllogism.
Whoa, did you see that girl over there? She's amazing.
Whoa. Hold on a second. A guy like you has no shot with a girl like her. I mean, look at you. You're such a nerd. What are you taking, like AP Lang? I heard the teacher makes you write essays in there for fun.
Yeah, I know. But what can I do to go out with her?
Well, everyone knows that girls like chocolate. I mean, why do you think we made our background out of a box of chocolate?
What?
Never mind. But everyone knows girls like chocolate, and she was definitely a girl. So if you got her a box of chocolate, she would be impressed with you.
Hey, that's a syllogism. I learned that in AP Lang.
Wow, the things AP Lang does to someone.